Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Tonight, an Elmira mother is taking to social media to call on her child's middle school to lengthen her son's lunch period. She says the school only allows the students 16 minutes to eat. Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst spoke with the concerned parent to find out more.
Good evening, Ann. After finding out the Ernie Davis Academy was only giving her son 16 minutes to eat lunch, Bethany Wheelock took to Facebook to raise awareness, and her initial post touched a nerve with other parents.
I just don't understand why it's never been spoken about.
Bethany Wheelock is one of several parents calling on the Ernie Davis Academy to extend its lunch breaks. She was first made aware of the issue after her 7th grade son said he didn't have enough time to eat.
I didn't believe him that he didn't have time. I was saying, you definitely have enough time. You got to hurry. I thought it was just him poking around, talking to friends.
She pulled out her son's schedule after hearing a friend mention the same thing about her daughter. Bethany discovered that students are only given 16 minutes to eat lunch. Since posting the schedule on Facebook, over 100 people have shared and commented on the post, with some relaying their own stories about the issue.
I just can't believe that it's affecting so many kids and parents out there.
Bethany then called Principal Teresa Usack about the issue. According to her, the principal said the 16-minute lunch has been in place for years and there haven't been any complaints.
She was like, it's always been this way. There hasn't been a problem all this time, and I don't understand why there's a problem now.
She believes the school should get rid of the student advisory period to free up 22 more minutes for lunch.
It's such an easy fix. I don't understand why it's a struggle, why nothing's being done about it.
I reached out to the principal's office about the issue. However, they were not available for comment. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
This week is Child Passenger Safety Week, and trained technicians are offering free car seat checks in Painted Post on Saturday. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, 46% of child car seats were installed incorrectly, leading to injuries and deaths in car accidents. However, if used correctly, car seats can reduce the risk of death by 71% for infants and 54% for toddlers. The free check is at the Southern Tier Medical Care Building on Saturday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Hospitals around the country are being crushed by COVID as health experts continue the plea to vaccinate. But for those who are vaccinated, there are new questions now about the need for another dose. Britt Conway has the latest on boosters.
Natalie Rise, a mother of 2, a registered nurse in Idaho. She died last month from COVID-19. She wasn't vaccinated. Idaho is one of the 10 states with the lowest vaccination rates, less than 45% of residents. And over the past week, COVID-19 deaths in these states were more than 4 times higher than the 10 states with the highest vaccination rates, where more than 62% of residents are vaccinated. But just how long does vaccine protection last? That's what the FDA is still considering as they determine the need for boosters. Vaccine advisors voted Friday to recommend emergency use authorization of Pfizer's booster for people 65 and up and people at high risk of severe COVID-19. But the FDA hasn't made an official authorization yet. Moderna has submitted its booster data, and Johnson & Johnson is expected to do the same after announcing that adding a second dose of its vaccine provides 94% protection against symptomatic infection. But for now, nothing can move forward until the FDA does. But the CDC's vaccine advisors are pressing ahead with a 2-day meeting all the same, with Pfizer scheduled to present its booster data today.
We're living in a world right now of what I call corrected science. We learn, we apply it, then we learn again.
It's messy, it's ugly, but that's because there's scientific uncertainty. And when there's scientific uncertainty, we want to hear from all sides.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Some families are still waiting for their September child tax credit payment from the Internal Revenue Service. They were expecting to receive the monthly installment by September 15th. The IRS says it distributed $15 billion in credits to about 35 million families last week. The agency is aware some families have not yet received their payments and is looking into it. Eligible families can get up to $300 for each child up to age 6 and $250 for each one between the ages of 6 and 17. Democratic infighting threatening to derail next week's House vote on the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Progressives are threatening to hold up the infrastructure bill until the much larger spending package advances. But the hefty price tag is not sitting with centrist Democrats who argue for a smaller bill. It has absolutely zero Republican support. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi promised to bring up the bill in the House next week. A boy who was 14 years old when he helped rob a woman is now pleading guilty to her murder. Barnard College student Tessa Majors was 18 when she was killed in 2019. Jenna DeAngelis has more on the hearing in New York.
A serious 16-year-old Luciano Lewis pled guilty to second-degree murder and first-degree robbery in the death of 18-year-old Tessa Majors. He then read a statement describing what happened the night the Barnard College freshman from Virginia was fatally stabbed in Morningside Park. Lewis was 14 when a schoolmate, Rashawn Weaver, asked him to, quote, do robberies with him and a third teen. Lewis says he backed out twice, then a third actual mugging failed. On the night of Tessa Majors' murder, Lewis said, quote, I assumed that Rashawn had a knife on him, but I didn't see it, and using a knife was not part of our plan. Lewis says they saw the victim in the park looking down at her phone and that Weaver kicked her hard in the back, screaming, give me your money. She then said, are you seriously trying to rob me? They tussled and both fell to the ground. Lewis described seeing a witness and alerted his friends to leave. That's when Weaver showed Lewis the girl bit him. Lewis described seeing feathers come out of her jacket, but claims he didn't know she had been stabbed, let alone killed, until he saw the story the next morning and realized it was her. The third teen involved, age 13 at the time, pled guilty to robbery charges and was sentenced last year to 18 months in juvenile detention. After the court hearing, an attorney representing Weaver, the alleged stabber, who previously pled not guilty, spoke.
This was not a premeditated murder, as we heard inside. These are 14 and a 13-year-old boy. We should all remember that.
Family, including Tessa Majors' father, silently left court. In previous statements describing her as talented, kind, and beloved, calling her absence palpable and unrelenting.
With so much attention on Gabby Petito, some Native Americans have questioned why missing women in their communities have received such little attention in comparison. Some Indigenous people are feeling hurt, saying the inequality is clear. Michael Locklear reports.
Advocates for missing and murdered Indigenous women are bringing up comparisons during the massive search for Gabby Petito and now Brian Laundrie.
We're seeing so much resources, money, attention being displayed right in front of us when we have to fight for that same attention.
Danae Shondine founded MMIWhoisMissing.org. The families of missing Native Americans often feel their cases are not truly investigated. What kind of reaction are you hearing from your community as they're seeing all this attention on Gabby and Brian?
I think it's hard. It's hard to see other people matter more than you when we are trying to advocate and do this work on a daily basis.
Earlier this year, 2 News highlighted some of the cases of missing Indigenous women, including Kayla Blackbird. Also, the unsolved murder of Akasita Kafusi, her body found last year near Saltaire.
It's unfortunate what happened to Gabby, but it's also shined a light on all this inequality that still exists in our country.
Representative Angela Romero leads a legislative task force looking into the failures surrounding missing and murdered Indigenous women and how to start to improve the system.
I think this case just opens that door again to talk about why it's important to believe women, why it's important to do preventative education. Instead of talking about the aftermath, let's talk about it before women become victims of sexual assault or domestic violence or are murdered.
It's a sentimental picture found on 9/11 in the rubble at Ground Zero. Now the man who found it 20 years later is hoping someone will recognize the boy in the picture and claim it. Antoinette Biordi has the story.
Kurt Rimmel of Suffern, New York shows us a picture of a little boy in a simple wooden frame.
It might have meaning to somebody.
He says he found it on the night of September 11th.
So, where did you find this picture?
I was on West Street, right by the north, where the North Tower collapsed.
Kurt works as a grip behind the scenes in the movie industry. On the night of September 11th, he and a group of co-workers were asked to provide movie lights to illuminate the area near Ground Zero so that volunteers could potentially find survivors. He says among all the debris on the ground, this picture stood out.
It just seemed it was sentimental. It was a little boy's picture, and I thought, I'm not going to let it get plowed up, with all the rest of this debris.
And 20 years later, Kurt still has the photo frame wrapped up in the very handkerchief he had with him that night. And as you can see, there's still 9/11 dust surrounding the photo frame.
You can see all the dust that's still in it.
He says he always wanted to find the boy in the picture, but since he's not social media savvy, his daughter convinced him to reach out to us for help. Now he's hoping to find out who this little boy is and the story behind the picture.
That I wanted to get it back to somebody it might mean something to. That was always my hope.
In Suffern, Antoinette Bjordy, News 12.
Still ahead tonight, a digital ad for a funeral home with the message, "Don't get vaccinated," is going viral.
It's very simple. We wanted to do something that saw things from a different perspective.
How the owner of the agency responsible for the ad is hoping the unconventional message inspires people to get the shot.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Attar. Good evening, everyone. Quite dreary and rainy today, and we are expecting more rain for tonight as well as tomorrow. In fact, for tomorrow, there will be some periods of heavy rain as the cold front draws a little bit closer. And as it does, winds will really start to kick up. It was breezy today. It may be a little bit gusty on your Thursday as that cold front comes through. And then on Friday, as we start to dry out, temperatures will be about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than what we had today. So the cold front is still marching through the upper level low, located just to our south. It will continue to spin to the north, and so the winds will start to really pick up tonight into tomorrow. That low pressure system will be accompanied by a cold front, and that will sweep through our area. There will be some periods of heavy rain along that boundary, and that includes some of our hometowns. So let's take a look at what we can expect for your Friday. We do have the possibility of the rain early in the day on Friday, and then we should start to dry out. High pressure builds in, north winds will follow, and that is going to drag temperatures down as we head into your Friday and also into the weekend. So here's a look at what you can expect on your Thursday. Temperatures will be around 67 degrees at 7 o'clock, upper 60s through the late morning into the afternoon, and then we are going to see our temperatures drop in the afternoon into the evening hours as that cold front finally moves through. Downpours will also be possible, and so let's take a look at our rain chances. Our future radar is showing there will be a few showers, possibly even a few thunderstorms that will come through. Notice the red, the orange, yellow showing up. That's moderate to heavy rain that will be moving in tomorrow morning. For Hornell, Bath, we are expecting the rain to be very slow moving, and so there could be just downpours after downpours for a few hours. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, our models are indicating it looks like Schuyler County as well as Chemung County getting in on some very heavy rain, and that should start to press off to the east by 7 o'clock in the evening. So we are going to see a little bit drier conditions by the end of the day on Thursday, and then by Friday most of this will be scooting out, and we are expecting to see a little bit more sunshine. Here's a look at your forecast tonight. Upper 60s, and we are expecting showers tonight, more rain tomorrow, and there will be periods of heavy rain in the late morning into the afternoon, and that will leave us with highs around 70 degrees in Elmira and 69 degrees in Corning. Our extended forecast calls for chilly conditions on Friday, starting off at around 50 degrees and only warming up to around 67. And then on Saturday, we warm up to around 71 degrees out ahead of a cold front that will bat the temperatures back down.
The owner of a Charlotte advertising agency is hoping to inspire people to get vaccinated with an unconventional message. Alex Giles shows us the digital billboards that went viral on social media.
Monday night, David Oakley is admiring the digital billboard that had social media and the streets of Charlotte buzzing Sunday afternoon. Oakley owns his own ad agency, Boone Oakley.
Boone Oakley specializes in doing work that gets noticed, talked about, and shared.
Hence the message he paid to have plastered on the side of a truck. He asked that the truck be driven around uptown Charlotte Sunday afternoon as thousands of people walked the streets while the Carolina Panthers played. The billboard may read, "Don't get vaccinated, Wilmore Funeral Home," but make no mistake, Oakley says he wants people to get the shot.
And a lot of the advertisements that you see right now for pro-vaccine are very simple, like get the shot, get vaccinated. It's very simple. We wanted to do something that saw things from a different perspective.
And thus the funeral home concept was born. And no, Wilmore Funeral Home is not real.
So the idea came about when we thought about who would really benefit from people not getting the shot. And you kind of go back to the simple fact that people are dying that aren't vaccinated. So who benefits from people dying? A funeral home.
But watch what happens if you go to WilmoreFuneralHome.com. This message reads, "Get vaccinated now. If not, see you soon." If you click it, it takes you to the website for StarMed Healthcare, a healthcare provider that has vaccinated thousands of people in Charlotte.
I was a little bit worried before we started, but when I really think about it, if this advertisement gets one person vaccinated, it was worth it.
A photo of the vehicle went viral on Twitter, and Garrett Crenshaw, who owns the billboard truck, says he's received nearly 200 calls in the last 24 hours.
He told me that he might cause some attention. I was like, you know, as long as it doesn't go against our morals as a company, then we're fine. And I knew the underlying message of it that he was trying to get, so we were good to go with it.
I think any advertisement that is provocative is going to create a dialogue. And when you get people talking, people have action, and I'm hoping that the action is that people will get a shot because of this.
A recently removed billboard in North Georgia drew controversy and even accusations of blasphemy. The sign in Fort Oglethorpe compared former President Trump to Jesus Christ and drew some mixed reactions from residents of the area. Some found the idea behind the sign improper, while others approved of the message. Bliss Zeckman reports.
Cars are speeding by this stretch of Rossville Boulevard, but what Reverend Bill Bond saw on this billboard a week and a half ago stopped him in his tracks.
I was at a stoplight and looked up and did a double take.
Bond is talking about this now removed billboard featuring former President Donald Trump. It reads, "Unto us a son is given, and the government shall be on his shoulders."
There is no person that can take the place of Jesus Christ.
A reference to a verse in Romans caps off the billboard.
The scripture says Jesus is not that interested in politics. Jesus is interested in individual lives, telling us to love each other, to love God, and best of all, to love, pray for, and do good to our enemies.
Workers at this motor company just below where that billboard sat say it was up for only about a week before the change of scenery. Michael McNabb, who works a couple of businesses down, says he misses the view.
I feel that whoever put it up was a coward for taking it down. I don't really compare Trump to Jesus. I mean, you know, Trump stands for God. He stands for America.
Reverend Bond doesn't feel the same way, to say the least. In a tweet that's now started a national conversation, he says this looks like Georgians are redefining blasphemy.
I was doing an exorcism. I had seen it and I could never unsee it.
A Missouri police officer injured in the line of duty gets a life-saving gift. The family of a fallen officer stepped forward to help. Linda Simmons has the story.
Following the attack at SPD, Officer Mark Preby has had to learn how to live as a paraplegic. He says he had some kidney problems before, but his spinal cord injury made matters worse.
And obviously, it was another blow to us a little bit when I found out my kidneys were failing.
He started dialysis a few months ago and was told a kidney from a deceased donor could take 5 to 10 years. So the Prebys began looking for a living kidney donor. But Thursday, they got a call. Last Wednesday, 22-year-old Independence police officer Blaze Madrid Evans was shot and killed in the line of duty. His family wanted to donate a kidney to Officer Preby.
Honestly, I was in shock then. I'm kind of in shock now, still trying to just soak it all in and and comprehend all of it for his family, for our family.
After many tests, Mark learned the kidney was a match, and he and his family headed to St. Louis for the transplant surgery, which happened Saturday night.
I got upright a little bit more today, out of the bed for a little bit. I'm pretty sore, pretty tender, as you can imagine, and just trying to take one thing at a time.
As he recovers, Mark is thinking of Officer Blaze Madrid Evans, who only graduated from Police Academy in July.
I get to live and I've already lived till 46 years old and done my career, and he was just trying to get started, and he's already gone from us, and that's where it's hard for me to really truly understand that. And I just have to put my faith in God and not look for all the answers, and just trust in him that there's purpose and reason behind it all.
He's grateful to be chosen for such a gift.
This is not a human thing. This is definitely a God thing. There's no question in it whatsoever.
Apple is reportedly working on software that could screen for signs of depression and other mental health conditions. The software is part of a joint effort between Apple, the University of California, Los Angeles, and a biotech company, Biogen. Together, they're studying anxiety, depression, and stress as it relates to cognitive impairment. Eventually, Apple is planning to develop an app for early detection of these conditions. It's never a dull moment for officers responding to a call for help. But don't take my word for it. Check out these wild videos with Jeremy Roth in today's Take a Look at This.
Law enforcement officers are always ready for rescues by air, land, and sea. New York State Police shared video of a rescue that took place high atop a mountain in the Adirondacks when an injured hiker was reported stranded. In a joint effort between the State Police Aviation Unit and the Department of Environmental Conservation, a chopper was deployed, and while hovering roughly 75 feet above Crane Mountain, the hiker was plucked from the peak and carried to safety. Over in Maine, a resident called police after a deer spotted in their yard fell into their pool. Concerned that the deer could get caught in the pool's cover, a responding Old Town officer worked quickly to wrangle the panicked animal, which reportedly didn't waste time drying off, instead running off into some nearby woods. Finally, in Colorado, a pair of cops showed impressive delicacy using kid gloves, figuratively, to rescue a kid stuck, literally, in a balcony railing. The officers spoke gently to the toddler who had gotten her head stuck between the bars, keeping her calm while using a tactical entry ram to pry the bars open. It worked, and the little girl was reunited with her mother.
Oh, please don't ever do it again.
The officers then cleverly distracted the toddler with a sticker while checking her for injuries.
Do you feel sick?
No.
You're doing okay?
Yeah.
For Take a Look at This,
You're welcome.
I'm Jeremy Roth.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. A pair of sisters in Japan have set some world records. According to Guinness World Records, sisters Umino Sumiyami and Kuume Kudama have been officially recognized as the world's oldest living female identical twins and the oldest ever female identical twins. The pair were 107 years and 300 days old as of September 1st. That's according to a statement from Guinness World Records. The centenarians were born into a family of 13 on November 5th, 1913 on Shodo Island, Japan. But they've lived most of their lives apart, coming together mainly for weddings, funerals, and a few Buddhist pilgrimages over the years. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful night.